cash boxes and lead showers, breaking the padlock and the dead coward, dying 1,000 deaths, entire lions surround itself with bears, watching nigga, you share profit.
Hey, what is up, guys? It is Farms, and today we're going to be going over the exciting topic of your PUBG graphic settings. These are your in-game settings. I'm not going to be covering anything else in this video, just your graphics. So yeah, let's begin. So these two first things don't really matter. Well, I mean, you obviously want it set to English if that's what you speak. This highlights auto capture is a NVIDIA thing, and it's specifically for if you want to capture your kills, basically, like little snippets. And you can find more info on that elsewhere. I'm not gonna do the entire video on that. I just kind of wanted to explain what it is. It's basically called Shadow Play Highlights by NVIDIA, and if you want more info, I would just say Google it at this point. But anyways, I always record anyway, so I have it disabled. But I have heard it affects your frame rate a little bit, so just throwing that out there. Now onto the important stuff. Screen. So under screen mode, I believe full screen or full screen windowed is probably what you want to be using, unless you have a massive monitor. I play on a 24-inch monitor, and my native resolution is 1920 by 1080. So that's kind of what you want it set at, is whatever your monitor is, and that's where you want your resolution to be at. Your first person camera field of view, you basically want that to be as high as you can go, because it's basically like if you were wearing like laboratory goggles or something and then you took them off. It's like it's going to open up your field of view. You're going to be able to see a lot more by basically you're going to see stuff that wasn't even like the game wasn't even showing you before. So just make sure that slider is at 103. Now brightness is really up to you, but I just have it set at 50 because I use reshade. Reshade basically runs a little graphics thing on your game and adjusts the colors to make it so you can actually see people. And I actually have a YouTube video on reshade, so if you click on my channel, you could find my reshade video, and that'll cover those settings for reshade. But these are the screen settings. Now on to quality. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, I have a kick-ass graphics card, you know, 1080 Ti, so I'm gonna just put everything on ultra, right? And I'm gonna tell you why that's wrong. So for me at least, when even because I have a 1080, not a 1080 Ti or anything super quick, but I have a 1080 graphics card and an older processor. And for me, what helps is not having these set at very low, because it just makes the game look bad. But I go anti-aliasing and post-processing to low, because that's just kind of your quality or whatnot. And like I said, very low looks really bad, and there isn't much of a FPS difference between the two. So it's really up to you. If you're on a really low grade system, I would just recommend very low for these settings. But if you have a decent system where you're putting out, I don't know, maybe an average of 80 frames or more, I would say toss it to low. So I mean, just the higher you go with these, the lower you're gonna drop your frame rate. So if you set everything to ultra, your frames are gonna go down in cities for obvious reasons, because it's loading every little brick, every little shade, and yeah. So now we go to shadows. So shadows I put to very low because basically it's going to show you where the real shadows are. If you have shadows on ultra, as far as I know, it's kind of like how the foliage was, where it's going to create extra shadows that the people who have the very low setting aren't going to see. So basically you might be sitting in a shadow and you think it's a shadow because it's on ultra, but in reality it's not, because the other guy on very low shadows is like, oh, he's just sitting in the wide open, because it doesn't show him all the shadows. So that's why I have it on very low, and also because it's good to have your stuff on low, because like I said, frames are good. You want a smooth game, Now, texture is on low because that's basically another graphical setting. You can do very low if you have problems with this game. That might help you with frames. But low is good. Effects doesn't really matter. I think if you have your effects on high or ultra, though, I've heard of like weird bugs happening, and I don't see why you would have it on high or ultra, so I just set it to low. Now, foliage is a interesting one. I don't know if they changed this recently, but how it used to be was if you had your foliage on ultra, you would basically get, I would say, 70% more grass that actually renders in, and it kind of ended up being like the shadows, where if you have your foliage on ultra, you're like, damn, I'm in the super sweet bush, you know, no one can see me, and then someone walks around the corner with their foliage on very low, and that bush isn't even there for them. So this is just showing you the difference between ultra and very low with foliage. So here you can see obviously that the ultra setting is a ton of grass, but then when he goes to very low, it's like, oh, it's just a little patch. So obviously if you have your thing on ultra, your foliage, I would turn it to very low so that you know where the real grass is, to say the least. So yeah. I think shadows and foliage, I think it's really important to have on very low. Now view distance. Now this is really going to affect your frames, but I like to be able to see people, and I like to snipe and whatnot. So this is actually where the ultra comes into play. I like my view distance on ultra, because yeah, I like to be able to see everything. So yeah, and then motion blur, you never want that checked, and then you never want VSync checked unless you're having major screen tearing problems, which shouldn't be happening to you guys. So VSync basically introduces input lag, and it's not good. So yeah, that's pretty much everything for actual graphical settings. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, leave a like or hit that free subscribe button on YouTube, or you can follow me at twitch.tv/formslive. Thank you guys so much for all the support, and thanks for watching.